just from the look of me, without Googling me and knowing my name and where I come from, am I a person of color? That's an honest question. From what I understand, my grandparents, both sides, from my mother and my father's, came from Mexico. So I'm Hispanic, Mexican American, whatever you want to call me, whatever is politically correct at this time, Latinx, Latino, whatever, I identify with being Hispanic. That's why I got this tattooed right here. Now, growing up in Donna, Texas, a very obtuse, ignorant, small-minded culture at that time in the early to mid-90s, kindergarten, first grade, second grade was, you know, I was bullied. And it sucked, man. It really messed with my self-esteem, which was already on a slippery slope as it is. In third grade, for whatever reason, there was a brand new elementary school called Truman Price. And I was placed in a gifted and talented class. For whatever reason. Even at the time, as an 8-year-old, I remember thinking, how did they determine that I was gifted and talented? Like, what were the tells? What gave it away? I certainly wasn't, you know, an academic, you know, wonderkind by any means. I didn't get all A's, I didn't prove it. And so I always wondered, like, why was I placed in a gifted and talented class? Which nowadays, being gifted and talented, I don't really think is politically correct, right? Because what about all the handy-capable children and whatnot, right? But for whatever reason, I was placed in a gifted and talented class in third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. I had Miss Cook in third grade, who changed my life, Mr. Marshall in fourth grade, who is still an incredible person, and I had Mr. Rack in fifth grade. All white. Maybe that's just a coincidence, but in a predominantly 99.9% Mexican brown school, I thought that was interesting. These were the only white people in my lives, were these teachers, and they called me gifted and talented for whatever reason. And then in sixth grade, they tried to put me in pre-AP and AP classes, but I told them, get me out of here because I don't belong here. I'm not that guy. I was never a school guy. I was an artist. I guess you could call that white privilege. And I will concede to that. Maybe, I don't know any better, but maybe it was white privilege. Maybe because of the color of my skin, maybe that's why I was considered gifted and talented. And I gotta say, if that is the case, that changed my life forever. I've always told people that I had a third grade education, and the reason why I say that is because I learned everything there was to learn in school in third grade. High school didn't do me any favors, and community college didn't do me any favors. But Miss Cook in third grade, if you're watching this, you gotta hit me up on the DM because I just wanna thank you again. You changed my life forever. And the impact that I've been able to make and what I've been able to pass down to my children, you've changed my life forever. It's because I was, for some arbitrary reason, in a gifted and talented class. I don't know why. But I guess today you'd call that white privilege. The hardest part of growing up for me was struggling with being Hispanic, struggling with that blood in, blood out Miklo mentality. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I was picked on. You know, I was called weddle. I was called, you know, worse than that. And it was always derogatory. I understand that I can't convey all the context and all the nuances necessary for someone to really kind of label me correctly, and I don't even know what it is. I don't even look at Hispanics on TV or on the internet that look like me that I can identify with. Maybe Hobo Johnson, but that's really it. And I'm really hoping that that guy is Hispanic, and I think he is. But there's not many light-skinned Hispanics that look like me. It's kind of hard to identify as a person of color when that didn't exist when I was growing up. I was white. I never had the perks of white privilege, ever. I never had those perks. However, my whole life, if it wasn't for third, fourth, and fifth grade, I don't care if this is politically correct, I would have been one of those kids that killed myself. I would have been. I thought about it. If I wasn't in those classes that saved my life, those teachers saved me. They demanded more from me than I could ever expect. They raised my standards. They taught me everything that I know right now. I just felt so special. Those teachers made me feel special. There was kids of all different kinds of backgrounds and walks of life that were in those classes, but it did feel like I was selected for whatever reason, and I don't know why. I didn't deserve it. I didn't prove it. It wasn't a meritocracy. I never earned that. But maybe it was because of the color of my skin. I don't know. And so I want to pose the question to the internet. I want them to be the verdict because they're so good at voicing their opinion. Am I a person of color? I mean, I'm just as white as anybody else. My parents are who they are. The blood that runs through my veins is what it is, but does that even matter? Because white privilege saved my life. And if it wasn't that, I don't know what it is. And it'd be ignorant to say that it wasn't that. Judge me.
I can still feel love.